My neighbor loved my husband. Ethan and I had been married for 7 years. We lived in a quiet, cozy little neighborhood where everyone knew each other. Life wasn't luxurious, but it was warm, with a small home, a dog named Lucky, and a backyard full of fresh vegetables that Ethan tended to every day. Everything started to shift when someone new moved into the house next door. A young woman named Claire. She was about my age, beautiful, gentle, and always wore a soft smile when greeting the neighbors. At first, I was genuinely happy. I've always been someone who makes friends easily. But slowly, something began to feel off. I noticed Claire would often stand near the fence with a cup of coffee in hand, watching Ethan water the garden. It wasn't a casual glance. It was the kind of lingering gaze that carried something dreamy. One time I even saw her blush when Ethan smiled and greeted her. I chuckled to myself, thinking maybe I was imagining things, but it kept happening, again and again. One afternoon, while I was doing dishes, I looked out the kitchen window. There she was, again, talking to Ethan. He laughed at something she said. Funny thing, my husband doesn't usually laugh that easily. Something uneasy stirred inside me. From that day on, I began paying closer attention, not because I was jealous or suspicious by nature, but there was something in Claire's eyes I just couldn't ignore. I started noticing little things, how she always seemed to step outside right when Ethan came home, how she'd beam when she saw him, yet never even glanced my way. One evening, I decided to test my instincts. I told Ethan I wasn't feeling well and would rest in our bedroom, but instead, I cracked the window open just enough to watch. Sure enough, as soon as Ethan stepped into the garden, Claire appeared. She walked toward the fence, holding a book, but her eyes were on him. They exchanged a few words. I couldn't hear them, but I saw Ethan laugh, that same easy laugh. Claire blushed again, looked down at her feet, then back at him. My heart sank, not because I feared Ethan would betray me. I trusted him, but the way Claire looked at him, like he was the only sunlight in her entire day. That night, I said nothing. I cooked dinner as usual, smiled as Ethan told me about his day, but inside a storm was beginning to build. I didn't know if I should confront it or stay silent. A few days later, something happened that made silence impossible. Coming home from the market, I saw a small gift bag on our doorstep. Inside was a bottle of men's cologne, a neatly folded handkerchief, and a handwritten note. To the man who makes the garden bloom brighter every afternoon. No name, no sender, but I knew. I clutched the note, heart pounding. That was the day I knew. I couldn't stay quiet anymore. The next morning, I baked a small batch of almond cookies, a special recipe I only made on meaningful occasions. I wrapped them carefully, stepped outside, and walked next door. Claire opened the door. She was in a simple floral dress, no makeup, but still carried a quiet charm. I smiled and handed her the box. "Hi, I made some cookies. I thought maybe we should have a little chat." She looked surprised. She took the box and offered to let me in, but I shook my head. "Here by the fence is fine. I don't want to make a big scene. I just want some clarity." She nodded gently. I looked straight into her eyes. "You like my husband, don't you?" Claire froze. Her eyes dropped to the ground, hands clutching the hem of her dress. After a long pause, she gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. I took a deep breath. "Ethan is a good man, and I can understand why you might notice him, but he's my family, and I truly believe that real connection doesn't bloom through short conversations across a fence." Claire remained silent. I continued. "You're young, beautiful. You have the chance to love, and be loved in a way that doesn't hurt anyone. I'm not angry. I just hope you learn to love yourself enough. Don't fall for someone who already belongs to someone else, because in the end, you'll be the one who hurts most. Claire looked up. Her eyes were teary. I'm sorry. I just saw warmth in him. I live alone, and it gets lonely. I nodded. I understand, and I truly hope you find someone just for you. You deserve that. We stood there in silence. Then I turned and walked home. My heart felt lighter, not because I'd won anything, but because I had chosen kindness. After that day, Claire stopped coming outside as much. When we did see each other, she still smiled, but the look in her eyes had changed. It no longer searched for someone behind me. There was a softness in her, like the sky after a storm. Ethan never knew what I said. He stayed the same, caring for the garden, cooking on weekends, and asking me every night, "Are you okay today?" And I'd smile back, "Yes," because I know I'm exactly where I'm meant to be.
A week later, a moving truck parked in front of Claire's house. She moved out. No one knew exactly why. Some said she got transferred for work. Others thought she wanted to be closer to family. But I believed it was because she had found the strength to leave a place that tangled her heart. Before she left, Claire slipped a small envelope into our mailbox. It read, "Dear Emma, I know I crossed a line by letting my feelings go too far. But because of you, I've learned something important. Love, if misplaced, no matter how beautiful, can be exhausting. I'm starting over somewhere new. I hope one day I can talk about this as a lesson from my youth. Thank you for treating me with the kindest heart. Claire." I folded the letter and placed it in my memory box. Life returned to normal. But I knew some people pass through our lives not to stay, but to remind us to cherish what's already ours. Thank you for listening. Closing message. Not everyone who enters our lives is meant to stay. But those who choose to leave at the right time may be the very ones who help us understand what truly matters.